The first one is Scratch. Uh, it's a basic programming thing, and what you do is you come in here and you're going to write the program per se, but the program technically is written for you. You just have to tell it what's going to happen when it does something, right? And most importantly is you have to always start with a control. A control tells something that something's going to happen, right? And you have to start with one of these that have a rounded top on it, right? So you can add something to the bottom of it. You can't add anything to the top of it. So I'm going to add, when I click the green flag, which is this green flag here, something's going to happen, right? And I'm going to tell it what's going to happen. So,
Is this on our computer?
should be. Right, so here he is. I'm going to click if you look over here in the scripting part, it says when I click the green arrow, that's what's going to start everything. So I'm going to go ahead and click the green arrow.
Clicking scripts?
And then the script automatically starts. So when I click the green arrow, that's what made everything start. And then we go. So yeah, we're going to have to make this script. I just wanted to show you, this is the one we're going to do real quick, because it's fairly easy. But I just wanted to show you what the end product is going to look like, and then we'll go back and actually make it do that. Okay, and you can see the script is fairly short. I mean, that's all it is right there.
I have to do the flag first.
So, all right, so the first thing we always have to do, regardless of what project you're doing, is you have to start with a control, which is all these yellow or orangish colored controls here, right? And you want to have one with the rounded top. If it looks like it has a puzzle piece kind of top, you cannot use that to start your script. Okay, so when I click, I'm going to use this green flag control. So when I click the green flag, you can do it when you click on the sprite, which the characters are called sprites. I don't know why, that's just what they call them. So I'm going to say when the green flag is clicked, something's going to happen. Okay, so I'm going to say, yes.
Okay, do I need to click on the green flag?
Not yet. When we're finished to start the script, then yes, you'll have to click on the green
Okay, to
flag.
start the script, make these all come up yellow. I need to click on, you gotta go through control. Got it.
Oh.
Click on control.
Yeah.
Orange.
You have
Mine
to
are orange.
click up here. They're orangish, yellowish, depending on the computer.
It has to have a rounded top.
Has to have a rounded top.
Gotcha.
Yes. All right. So now over here, if you look up here next to control, it says motion. Right. I want to make my cat move. I'm going to tell him to move. If you look down here, it gives you an X and Y axis numbers. It doesn't actually put the grid up there, but it's telling you X and Y. I'm going to want my cat to move along the X axis here. So I'm going to say change X, which is about halfway down. It says change X by 10. So I'm going to say change X by 10. All right?
Would you click motion first?
Yeah, the blue.
Yeah, it's the blue ones.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now if we click the green arrow, you'll see that the cat moved 10 steps. Okay. Actually, I kind of messed that up. We want to do this. Actually, I forgot a step. I'm sorry. If you go back to control and scroll down here, if you scroll down to the bottom, it says there's one that says repeat until. If you drag that out here, right, and anytime you mess something up, if you want to delete it, if you just click it and drag it back over here, regardless of what color it is, it'll delete it. So if I go like that, it'll delete. Okay, so I'm going to say repeat until, and then if you notice, there's a little, what is that, like a hexagon shape there. So I'm going to tell it, it's going to repeat until something happens. Okay, and if I go to sensing, which is underneath control, it's like the blue, bright blue color. You'll see the hexagonal shapes. You'll see the different scripts are different shapes. So I'm going to find a hexagonal shape to fit into that.
Acting like puzzle.
Right, and now there's a little drop-down menu there, and it says it's going to touch either the mouse pointer or the edge. I'm going to say until it touches the edge. Okay, I want it to stop when it touches the edge. Okay, and now I'm going to tell it what to do. So I'm going to go back to my motion.
I don't want it touching me. I don't want it.
And change X by 10. Okay, so I have my motion. I'm going to change X by 10. So now if I click the green arrow, you'll see the cat will move all the way across. But if you, for me, I want it to actually look like the cat is actually moving now. He stays the same. He just kind of glides across the screen. If you click up here at the top, you see the little picture of the cat. It says costumes. If you click on that tab, you'll see there's actually two different sprites there. There's two different costumes. So I want it to change back and forth between those two costumes. So it's not as difficult as it sounds, I promise. I promise.
Mine just did a somersault.
So you're doing stop motion, basically.
Somewhat, yes. Just really quick.
Okay.
All right, so now I'm going to say, if you go under looks, which is under motion in this the script area up here, I'm going to click on looks. And you'll see the top one says switch to costume, and it says costume 10.
Why does mine say two?
It says what? It should say switch to costume, because right now you have costume 1 up, so it's going to tell you to switch to the other one. Yeah. And if you put that right underneath my change X by 10, you'll see the white bar there. It's going to tell you it's going to connect that to that piece. So if you put it underneath the repeat part, it's not going. When it gets to the edge, then it's going to change the costume. I want it to change after it changes X by 10. I want it to change back to costume 1. Okay, so now if you click the flag, you'll see it changes, but it doesn't change back. Okay, so now we have to tell it to change back, but before we can do that, we have to say, okay, we still want you to move along the x-axis, so we're going to say change X by 10 again. And then go back to looks and add switch to costume. This time make sure you make it say costume 1, or it's just going to say stay with costume 2. So now it's going to change back and forth. So when I click the green arrow, it walks. It's more of a sprint. But yeah, and we're going to do that here in a second.
I'm serious, look at this stupid thing. I'm not lying, it looks like it's gonna walk.
It's a Sprite.
Huh?
All right, so is everybody that far? All right.
Yeah, give it 2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're switching costumes. We're moving along our x-axis until it touches the edge.
Yeah, so it switches, but it switches so fast.
Yeah, it switches so fast it's really hard to tell. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the control with the yellow scripts or the orange scripts, and we're going to set. If you look, it's the 4th one down. It says right now it says wait 1 second. We're going to click that and put it in between the first switch costume and the second change X. And we're going to put another one underneath the second switch costume. Otherwise, it will switch back really quick. Okay, and we're going to make that say, if you double click on the 1 second, if you make it say 0.5, I think works pretty well in both of those. So both of them say wait 0.5 seconds. Now when I click the green flag, all right, that might be a little slow. So let's say 0.05. I'm sorry. 0.05. Now he'll go a little bit faster. And if you want him to go faster, you can make him go faster or slower. So that's a reasonable pace for our cat to move. Cats usually don't walk on 2 feet anyways, but so far we have our cat. He's just going to walk across the screen, right? And right now it's just a white screen. Okay, so I want to change that. I want to make it somewhat exciting. So I'm going to come down here beside the Sprite. It says stage, and right now it's just white. So if I click on stage, you'll see that there's scripts, there's backgrounds and sounds for that. If I click backgrounds and go to import, it'll open up, it'll pop up here, and it gives you some folders that are already there. You can actually put the XY grid in there. If you're a math teacher, you can put the XY grid in there and say, so you can give your kids that visual of, okay, this is the X, this is the Y, so when it's moving, you can see, or they can see visually what that means. I'm gonna click on mine on nature, and you can choose one of these. You can put your own in here if you have pictures on your computer. You can import one of your own. You can go over here on the side and click on computer. I don't have any pictures on here, or I would show you how to do that. I probably should have. I'm going to make my cat walk through the lake. Right, and it pops up now, instead of the white background, now it has the lake. So now you'll see when I push the green flag, click the green flag, my cat walks on the water. Or whatever you chose, yeah. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to, I'm going to go click back on Sprite 1. So now I can go back to control to write the script for anything. You have to make sure you're clicked on that object or that background, whatever the case might be, to bring up the scripts, the costumes. But you can also add sounds. Like this one has a meow. I don't know if the speakers are on. So what I'm going to, just to show you how to do that, just real quick, if you go back over here on the script side and click on sound, you'll see it already says play sound meow. I'm going to put in there, when I click, I'm going to do this before it repeats. I'm going to add it right in here, right after I click the green flag. It's going to play the sound meow. So when I click the green flag, he's going to meow and walk. Hey, now he's touching the edge, he stops. All right. Now, if you remember, when in this original one that I showed you, I had it walk across the screen, and then the background changed a little bit. What I did is, if you click on the stage and the background, and if you copy that, it'll give you a second lake. And then I'm going to click edit it, so I can go in and edit it, and I can change it around. I can paint on it. It's kind of like a fancy version of the paint that comes on your computer. But there's a stamp tool here, and I'm going to just try to make this look so there's not an alligator on there yet. I'm going to just highlight the woods. Right, and it gives you a stamp of that. And I'm just going to bring that stamp down so I hide the alligator. Okay, obviously, I know it's not realistic because it's nice and straight there, but and if you mess up, you can undo it. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it like that. Click OK. So now I have two backgrounds. So when it gets to the end of the first one, I'm going to make it switch to the second. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my Sprite. Maybe. All right, I'm going to click back on my Sprite and my scripts. Right. So now my cat's going to the edge of the screen, but I want it to, when it gets to the edge, I want it to go back to where it started from, and I want it to switch backgrounds. So it looks like it's actually moving and not just, it goes to the edge and then it switches backgrounds and the cat's still at the edge of the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Control, and you'll see underneath Repeat 10, there's one that says Broadcast. I'm going to bring Broadcast over. And you just have to click on the drop-down menu, make it say New, and just type in whatever you would like for it to say. I'm going to say Go. And click OK. Right, so now when it gets to the edge of the screen, it's going to broadcast out to anything else. It's going to say Go to whatever else I want it to say Go to. So when I'm going to go back over here, before I do anything else, I'm going to choose a different rounded top script. So I'm going to, if you look down underneath Broadcast, it says When I Receive. Okay, so it's sending it out. Now I have to receive it. So I'm going to click When I Receive, Go. Now something else is going to happen. When you did the... So now we want our cat, or our sprite, to go back to where he's starting from. So if I drag my cat around here and get my X, Y coordinates, I'm just going to say 190. It's negative 190, negative 120. So if I go back over here, click Motion, I want a motion script. I'm going to tell it to, if you see about a third of the way down, it says Go to X and Y. I'm going to drag that to under When I Receive. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It brings up for me, it says Go to X, negative 189, Y, negative 116. If you want to change those numbers, make sure you click on your sprite to see where you want it to go to. So I want mine to go here. So I'm going to leave it at negative 189, negative 116. So if you watch now, when I click the green flag, it meows, it goes to the edge, and then it goes back. Okay? And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat this first script here that I just did. So I'm going to do the repeat until touching the edge, change X, change the costumes, wait. Change X, switch costumes, and wait. So if you go ahead and do that, just repeat all that, your cat will then continue after he switches backgrounds, he'll continue walking across the screen. But for right now, the background's not going to change because we haven't told it to change yet. So I'm going to go ahead, repeat until, and change X by. And if you want to go ahead and drag both change X by into there, you can do that because you can always insert things in between. So I'm going to put 2 change X by 10, and I'm going to put 2 switch costumes. Make sure you do change the costume so that one says costume 1 and one says costume 2. Otherwise, it'll just stay costume 2 all the way across. And then I'm going to put in my wait 1 second, or wait 0.05 seconds again. Oops. All right, and now when I push the green flag, he'll walk across the screen. He'll walk back across the screen. Actually, he'll keep walking because I forgot to put in there stop when he gets to the edge. All right, so we're having our cat all the way across two backgrounds. We just haven't switched the backgrounds yet. All right, so now to change the background, I have to click on the background. So I'm going to click back here on my stage. And I'm going to go back to control and put that when I receive go back in my script.
Yeah, sorry, go back to your Sprite script.
Okay. It should basically be a repeat of the first one.
Oh, okay. It did it that time.
All right, so now I'm going to go back to my background. Make sure I click on stage. I have when I receive that go signal that my script sent out after the first cat touches the first edge, I'm receiving my go. And I'm going to switch the actually, I'm just going to click next background. You can make it say switch the background if you have more than two on there. But since I only have two backgrounds, I'm just going to make it say switch to the next one. Okay, so now, if you push your green flag, your cat should switch backgrounds when it touches the edge. He doesn't.
I done something. What did I do? Oh.
So that's where you made the control.
Okay.
Drag that into,
Oh, I did do that.
make that say edge.
Yes, yes.
Then I can do it to me, that's it.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm pulling over here. Yeah, if I do it, it would do it.
Now if you push your green flag,
You still got the white action.
you can see this.
I'm not good with colors. He looks like a Christmas tree. Like a Sprite. Yeah, my cat.
I thought I had two different backgrounds. Yeah.
So you have to click on your script and make it say, when you receive your babies, you can say, when I receive that, and then go to looks, and say next background. There you go. Until you reach. Drag your cat. Oh, football. Yes, the background should flip.
I see kids that understand this too. Okay. But I understand so.
And you can always, when you add sound, if you wanted to add sound of your own, you could do that. So like, if you were doing the Wheel of Fortune one, I said something about earlier, you could make it, you could find the Van a light clip and say, whatever passage, whatever it is. Passage, the Wheel of Fortune. All right. So that's a basic one. You could animate a story. Because your kids can make their own backgrounds. You can go into the stage and backgrounds, and you can just say, I want to make a new background and just paint one, and come in here and just do whatever you want to do to it. You could put text in it. You could do, your kids could have a lot of fun. I know for me, for art purposes, I could have my kids make all kinds of backgrounds. You can make your own Sprite. If you see where it says above the Sprite 1, it says New Sprite. If you click, you see Paint New Sprite, choose New Sprite from File, and get surprise sprite. I haven't used the surprise one, but you can do the same thing. If you make a new sprite, it pops up your paint window. Your kids can make their own. Okay. So that's one more thing we haven't done yet. Is I want the cat, when I click the green flag, instead of me having to drag the cat all the way back over here, I want it to go back to x negative 189 negative y negative 116 like I did when it switched screens. So I'm going to go back to my motion, and I'm going to click another go to x, y, and I'm going to put that right underneath when the green flag is clicked. And I'm going to make those numbers the same as the first time I did. So I'm going to say negative 189, negative 116. So now wherever the cat is, regardless, I could put it up here in the corner. When I click the green flag, it goes back to where I want it to start from. And that eliminates you from having to go back and say, okay, I got to drag this cat all the way back over here. All right. So that's a basic one. That's and you can make the cat speak. It will see. I forget where it's at though. There. Under looks on your sprite, you'll see it says say hello for 2 seconds, or just say hello, or think hum for 2 seconds. You can make it say, I'm going to say hello for 2 seconds. And if you want to change that, I'm walking on water. It'll say that you can change it. You can make it say it for 10 seconds. You can make it say for however long you want it to, or short you want it to. So now my cat says I'm walking on water, and he takes off.
How would you delete it? Do you put an extra character or something? How do you delete the names?
If you put an X in your...
Yeah, when you, like you got a Sprite 1, and then you had a Sprite 2, and you decided to go with another one instead of what you chose.
If you right click on your sprite, it should say delete.
Okay.
I'm not going to delete mine, or I'll lose everything I just did. All right, so that's a simpler one. Here's a game. I don't know if you guys want to get into this. It's a little bit more complex than just... Right, but this is a game I made yesterday, and this really didn't take me all that long. It probably took me, I'm gonna say, probably took about an hour. But I could see a couple of kids sitting around with a key, and all the kids need is the keyboard and the computer. I click on the green screen. I can sit here, and my kids can move these characters, and when they get to the basketball starts dribbling, and the ball moves with them. If I can... Okay, so wherever I make the person go, now the other person can get to the ball and steal it from them. He stole it back from her. So he steals it, which you can only, and in this game you can only shoot, this guy can only shoot when he's in the blue area. The other guy can only shoot when he's in the red area. And then they slam dunk, and it makes noise that they made a basket. Okay? And then if you look at the top, it gives me a score. So on this one, I had to actually make the background. I went in and put all the lines in there. That's why they're kind of not straight, but I try to make it look like fans back here a little bit. But I just took some time, put the floor down there, and put my colors in there. And then in my script, all my script is going to do for the background is it's going to have the player 1 and player 2 scores. But for my characters, to move them, if you see it says I have my rounded top here. When the W key is pressed, and I can make that, if you click down, you can make that any keyboard. So since I'm using 2 people, I wanted one person on the right side, one person on the left side of the keyboard. So when the W is pressed, that person goes up, X makes them down, A is to the right, D is to the right, A is to the left. And you can see I have to keep pressing that button for it to go. So that person, every time I move, he's moving by 10 along the X or Y axis. Okay, so it's just kind of a fun way, and your kids would probably love, I mean, they could sit here and do that, and they could probably do it faster than we all can. I mean, to be quite honest. There is in this coding, there is a way that you can ask questions. So you could do this as a game and say, okay, you can't actually do the game part until I get the answer. So I can ask, what's your name? Or ask, I don't know, what's the question you would ask? What is the, or let's do this. Who painted the Mona Lisa? So my 5th graders are painting that right now. So who painted the Mona Lisa? Put a room in there for the answer it. Okay, so now it should ask sometime when I receive go. I have to make sure I remember when it gets go because I don't remember when go gets going. So I don't know. I don't think I put that in the right spot. So I push A, it'll say who painted the Mona Lisa. So he can't move left until who painted the Mona Lisa. So I'm going to put in here. I'm going to put the answer in. Okay, and then I can continue playing. Okay, so you could do something like that. It doesn't have to be a basketball game. It was just something I thought would be. Actually, I got it from a YouTube video, and I was like, well, I need to make this myself. So I was like, okay, this sounds kind of good. So, and then you can see what their answer was. It won't go away. So, for them to shoot the basketball, I told you it had the round guy has to be in the red, the square guy has to be in the blue. So, excuse me. I had to tell it if circle guy is touching red and he's touching the ball, which is a sprite that I made. Okay, if he's touching red and he's touching the ball, and I press the S button because it says when the S key is pressed, he's going to glide to X 182, Y 56. So he's going to slam dunk and then come back down. And if he's still touching the ball, it's going to change the player score to 1, play the sound of the crowd cheering, and then broadcast go all over so that sends square guy, round guy back to their starting place, and then they just keep going. You could put a timer on it. You can say, if you click on variables, you can make a new variable and say timer, and the timer say I think I take that back. I'm not sure how to do the timer yet, so I don't want to tell you wrong, but there is a way you can put a timer in there.
Try set timer to a certain time.
Yeah.
Then change.
Let's try it.
Change by, I don't know, can you do -1 or something?
We'll try. Set timer to 10. Or yeah, 30 is probably better. I'm going to try 10 just so it's shorter for our purposes so we don't have to wait 30 seconds. So if I change the timer to 10, see what happens. So the timer goes to 10, but I'm not sure how to make it.
It'd have to be in your red or script.
Yeah.
Change timer by, I don't know, there has to be a change timer by 1 and then repeat something.
Well, here's a reset timer.
After every goal.
Yeah. So if I put reset timer.
It'd have to be between play sound and broadcast.
Let's see if it.
Not sure where the going down by one or.
Now here's one thing I have noticed trying to mess around with this. If my circle guy is not technically touching the ball right now, and the square guy goes to shoot it, as soon as he glides to the basket, now the round guy is technically touching the ball, so he's going to steal it from square guy, and then he can go back the other way to do that. And I thought, for my art kids, if they could make the backgrounds and make their sprites. These two sprites were already in there, so that's why I used them. I didn't make those, but if I can figure out how to change the timer.
So you had to make the goal.
Yeah, I had to make the goal and all that.
But they don't do anything special.
No. No. It was just to give me a reference to make him shoot the ball. There is I'm thinking there's a way where if he's inside, I could change the colors of inside the 3-point line.
Or if he's on the, yeah.
To say if he's touching this color, instead of dunking it, that the ball will actually shoot instead of just dunking. But I'm going to be honest, when I went to E-Tech, I had never even heard of this program before.
That's pretty good.
I went to a class on it, and they showed just samples that their kids had done. They didn't really explain how to use it. So I thought it looked fun. I've kind of, like I said, I've kind of been teaching myself the last month and a half, 2 months, however long it's been,
That's great for art.
of how to do this. So I'm sorry I don't know everything about it, but I thought I would share what I do know. And like I said, it's pretty simple if you just sit down and go, okay, I want it to do something, so I'm going to make it move. If I want it to sense something that's touching something, what is it going to touch, or what button's going to be pressed? Okay, so it's sensing that's happening. The sound obviously is sound. Looks, something about the look of it's going to change, so I know it's going to be in that area. And there are more effects for the backgrounds. There's not as many effects as there are for the individual sprites, because the sprites can move, the background can just change. So you can do all kinds of things. So if I'm going to see if I can, I can always go in and edit my background to say this color is, I'm going to make this a lighter blue and this a pinkish color, so that if I say, okay, if my sprite's touching, okay, so let's see. So when Round Man,
That could even be if he's on that line.
well, the only thing with that though is it only goes by it only senses the color.
So you'd have to change that.
So I would have to change the color. I could change the color of the line and say if he's touching that line, and then you can change it so if they dunk it, they get 1 point, because you're changing here. If you look, it's changing player 1, which is the variable that I made, the score, by 1. If he's touching, so if I say if, I'm gonna make this bigger. If he's touching color. Actually, I need a green one. I'm going to say and, because I need something and. He's touching the ball and he's in that color area. So I have to choose it in a blank
One of you
and.
try that is if you right click on any of the script, like one that's already been done,
Oh, I see that.
then you can duplicate it.
Good call.
I just kind of have to find that out. So like the one that you already have set up for touching red and
Yeah.
ball, and then just take out what you don't want.
All right. That's easy. Thanks. So now, if I click on the touching color, it's going to bring up a little eyedropper. So I'm going to say, okay, he's touching this color here. So now he's touching pink, and he's touching the ball.
Yeah, I don't know which
Now it's going to have to do something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to broadcast. I think what I'm going to have to do is broadcast.
Jump shot or something.
I'm going to have to say broadcast. I'm going to say circle shot because it's circle man, he's shooting. So I'm going to say circle shot.
Oh, that's right.
And then make the ball. Now I'm going to have to go back to my ball and say, when I receive circle shot,
Yeah.
glide to, which is motion. Glide to 198.30. Oops, not 90, 30. And then,
Yeah.
actually I should say glide to,
It's just the ball.
but I'm going to say 198. And I'm going to say, I want the ball to drop back down to the floor. So I'm going to say 198.
You don't want to go to, do you?
That'll be okay.
Okay. It'll just appear in the.
Yeah. I should say, actually I should say glide to.
Because live will slump.
Yeah. Glide to.
That's right. Yeah. Right there. Pull it down.
There it is. Glide to, what I say was 198.30. And then glide to 198 and -30. So let's see if this works. So he's going to come and take it. He gets to the pink. Ah,
We didn't put
I
but
haven't done something right.
Oh, you need to put it in the key.
Yep. I think I can put it underneath there.
Yes.
So if I
Oh,
push
okay,
S.
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So if I push S, now, I'll try to make it bigger. Pushes S, shot. But I forgot to tell it to broadcast go. So let's try this.
You need to have a weight as it flies before the broadcast go.
Before broadcast go, it needs to wait.
Yeah, it needs to wait a second.
Alright, I'm going to try and make this bigger.
Come on, Superman.
Alright, here's the... So we got to figure out the ball's got to go back.
Yeah, when the ball goes to the second spot, that you have to be, put it after that second glide.
When I receive circle shot,
Yeah.
and then broadcast go. 1 second. Broadcast. I'm gonna make it less than a second.
Take it out of the circle.
I move him out of the way. There we go. So that's a little better. I might take the weight actually out of there. See how that works. Oh, he was too close to the red apparently. There we go. So there, you can do that. And And like I said, there's all kinds of YouTube videos out there on how to use this and different things that other people have done. That's really how I've learned a lot, is just watching other people. I mean, and that's so.
So when did this come out? You know?
It's a programming, or it,
For y'all?